Tracy, Tracy, Tracy. Ooh.
Darwin is devastated. Darwin is destroyed. There is virtually no building that is not seriously damaged. 10,000 homes have been wrecked. They've been torn to pieces, and the pieces are scattered across the city.
I went through here last night, actually went over Darwin about an hour ago, and as far as we know, it's fairly demolished, the place.
Well, all those houses are on stilts there. I travelled a fair way around all the suburbs there, and I couldn't find one that you could call really a house.
There's very little really standing, and there are only two buildings that are operational at the moment. That's the RAF-based hospital and the operations centre.
Her father was the sun, her mother was the moon, born in the humid hours of a hot December noon. Her playground was the Timor Sea, her teacher was the sky, and long before that day was done, she was reaching way up high. The air began to tremble as rain clouds she assembled. Lightning bolts came flashing from a thunder-laden sky. What evil plan she laid that night unleashed the fury of her might. A homeless, twisted wreck was left with morning's cold grey light. Tracy, you have been unkind to cause such trouble to mankind, like a spoiled and lonely child who's been left by herself to run wild. You've turned your doll's house upside down and left your broken toys around. That's not the thing to do on Christmas Day. All the cards were dealt that night. Fate had been unkind. For Darwin on that holy night there was very little time. Your arrival was expected, but no one could have guessed the heartaches and the tragedy, destruction and the mess. Tracy, you have been unkind to cause such trouble to mankind, like a spoiled and lonely child who's been left by herself to run wild. You've turned your doll's house upside down and left your broken toys around. That's not the thing to do on Christmas Day.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, for the former things are passed away.
Like every city and town in Australia, Darwin was preparing for its Christmas Day. Office parties were either in full swing or over. Children were excitedly hushed before their day. Churches were preparing for the influx of worshippers. Darwin was being itself, as it had for years past.
With the stubby and the steak, give yourself a break, that's the Darwin style. A bucket or two of buffaloes too, and we're singing all the while. Oh, she's on again tonight in dear old Darwin town. She's on again tonight in dear old Darwin town. She's on again tonight in dear old Darwin town. In dear old Darwin town. Yes, in dear old Darwin town. What's that place? In dear old Darwin town.
By 9:30 on Christmas Eve, the RAAF Cyclone Operations Centre was placed on full alert. People in Darwin were worried. But cyclones had passed away before. Then, 2 minutes before midnight, the RAAF message was brief and terrifying.
227 degrees, 17 miles. Leading edge, 3.5 miles, Charles Point. Indications I will deflect across Charles Point to Darwin.
Now it had to be accepted. The cyclone would hit the city.
We were doing some Christmas shopping about 9 o'clock and the wind was starting to come up a fair bit then. It wasn't too hard, but it was starting to blow up. And about 9:30, it started to getting fairly strong, whipping the power lines around and causing a few power blackouts in a few districts. So we went back to the hotel in which we were staying and just watched the television. And while we were watching that, every 5 or 10 minutes they'd whack on the cyclone warnings and tell you just exactly where the cyclone was. And the last one we had, it was at about 10:30 or so, and that was telling us that the cyclone was situated, it's going to be situated at Shoal Bay at about 1 o'clock in the morning.
I don't think people expected it to be as bad as it was. No, nobody knew.
Well, there's some reports, obviously, the people get a bit cynical of cyclone warnings after a while.
They do, yeah.
We've been warned all through the day for the previous 12 hours, which was the Christmas Eve, that the cyclone was coming in. We didn't take much heed of it, truly. I don't think very many other people did, because about 3 weeks ago we'd been warned the same way, the same manner, but the cyclone turned and went to sea. Well, this time it didn't turn and go to sea. It came in and gathered speed as it came in. About 2 o'clock Christmas morning, the whole kitchen window and everything else smashed through the kitchen wall and came flying through into the lounge, and out to the lounge wall. We ran downstairs and stood between the concrete wall underneath the house and the steel staircase for an hour and a half, at least an hour and a half, and the storm passed over from behind us. When it started to turn, we worked our way around the wall and stood beside the wall as the storm turned and came back towards us. There was about a 20-minute delay while the eye of the storm moved over us, and then the winds came back, and I'd say twice the speed they were before, and everything started smashing into the house from the front. The concrete started chipping, and I was quite concerned. In fact, I'll honestly say it was the first time in my life I've been terrified. The family and I stood in water about 4 or 5 inches deep from 2 o'clock in the morning till I'd say about 7:45. We could see as light broke that all the houses around us had been totally smashed to pieces, and we knew our own was gone completely too.
Santa never made it into Darwin. Disaster struck at dawn on Christmas Day. Santa never made it into Darwin. A big wind came and blew the town away. Santa never made it into Darwin. Disaster struck at dawn on Christmas Day. Santa never made it into Darwin. A big wind came and blew the town away. A big wind came and blew the town away.
By 5:30 in the morning, Tracy had moved away from the city to the southeast. In the first light of Christmas morn, it was obvious. Darwin was devastated. About 2 hours later, a waking Australia was receiving the first trickles of news in what was to be Australia's blackest Christmas.
We don't know of any casualties as yet. It's unlikely we'll get away without any, but the hospital is badly damaged, but the patients are all okay. It went right over the top. It was fairly severe, winds up to 150 kilometres, and went straight over the top of the town.
By Christmas afternoon, Defence forces were mobilised and the first refugees were being moved out. In charge of the operation was Major General Stretton, a 51-year-old veteran of Korea, Malaya and Vietnam.
There's a tremendous spirit in this community. The people themselves, the police, everyone is working in harmony, and I know things have been naturally take a while to get organised, but there are still a lot of problems to be overcome. It's obviously going to be a long time before things can be restored to normal. Everyone here is a mouth to feed, and means things have got to be thrown in. We've got to thin out the population.
A little over an hour ago, we did not have enough information because of the extremely limited communications to make a firm plan. However, I have now been informed by a message from Major General Stretton that a large-scale reduction of the population of Darwin will be necessary because of the devastation of housing and the serious damage that had been done to facilities in the area. A possible need to evacuate 10,000 people has been mentioned. Because of the local difficulties in obtaining firm assessments on this matter, it is difficult to confirm these numbers, but I have instructed the Natural Disasters Organisation and the Defence Force to proceed with planning on the assumption that this figure is correct.
General Stretton rallied the people by persuasion and the sheer force of his personality.
This is Alan Stretton speaking, the Civilian Director General of the Natural Disasters Organisation. I'm still smiling, and I only hope that some of you have by this time been able to crack a smile. Let me help you to do so. Last night, I informed you that we had got out something like 6,800 people yesterday by air against a target of 6,000. I now have the revised figures, and I'm happy to tell you that actually out of this airport yesterday went 7,140 people. 7,140, which of course is another record. Now today is Operation Cleanup. I've already asked you to cooperate. I really want to see signs of this today. Garbage out on the footpath. The neighbours' garbage out who are not there. Anything that smells, bring to the attention of the health teams that are going round. I'll be leaving here this morning somewhere at about 10 o'clock, and that's just in a few minutes, and I'll be going round the town and out to the airport. I have now more time to do this. The situation here is now organised. And I hope to see you, many of you, and talk to you personally. So, until then, I say cheerio, and I'll be up on the air later in the day to make sure that I keep you informed. No health problems, no problems. I have a bond with you that if there are problems, you will be told. Don't believe all the rumours. Don't believe the police shootings, the outbreak of this and that. To use a classical phrase, in most every rumour that comes in here, I have investigated, and all of them have proved to be a lot of hogwash. Okay, stay with it. The fleet is in on the 1st of January. The Governor-General, who has been in personal contact as the Queen's representative with me, giving me personal support and encouragement, will also be coming in on the 2nd of January.
Communications were vitally important. First man back on the air in Darwin was genial ABC announcer Howard Baker. The first record he played, theme from Rush.
This is ABC Radio, back on the air in Darwin. Now, in general terms, this special appeal that we're making to the general public, unless you're on cleaning up operations or on some essential duty, please don't hamper rescue operations by driving around sightseeing. You're just wasting petrol and hampering essential operations.
Help them pick up the pieces and proudly say, Darwin lives on. Out of the terror that Christmas Day, Darwin lives on. And they made me proud of my country. They made me proud of who I am. If there was doubt, there is no doubt now. There's a great big heart in this great big land. If there was doubt, there is no doubt now. There is no doubt now. There's a great big heart. There's a great big heart in this
Darwin relief operation was underway.